all right. How you feeling, baby? You feeling good?
I'm feeling good, man. Yeah, just we're coming down the final stretch here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been the final stretch since that Colts game, bro. I told you.
I know. Yeah, before Tua even came back, it was all done.
It was over, bro. It was over. Yeah, it was over. It was over. Let me ask you something because I was in my middle of. I get emotional sometimes, as you may know. Yeah, as you may know.
Could never tell.
And one of the things that I haven't heard much, and I just was like throwing it out there, and I threw my poor guy Kyle Krabs under the bus, because I was like, nobody's talking about how Mike McDaniel is the real problem and he needs to go because none of you are talking about that. Nobody's writing it. And I go, you're not hearing it anywhere, not even like on Dolphins, what's it called, Locked on Dolphins or something like that. And it's my fault because since the Colts, I kind of stopped watching other people or reading much because for me the season's over. It's like done. I know who you are already. You're frauds, and this guy's a fraud. And I haven't on Twitter's the only thing. Unless I catch you on Twitter saying it, I haven't seen a beat writer yet say Mike McDaniel must be fired. Am I correct there? None of you guys have said that, or ladies. Nobody has written that, right? Correct?
Not as far as calling it. I mean, Perk has written things about putting him on the hot seat if certain scenarios occur. Right. But he has even said he likes how Mike McDaniel has transformed the offense amid finding challenges over not getting Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle the ball because of different coverages, and when he went to more of the ground and pound, and then taking what the defense gives him. He's kind of actually said some positive things about him lately when he was sort of going against everyone else when everything was hot, or at least a better situation end of last year.
Okay, because I didn't know that Kyle was actually one of the only one I've heard actually now that I've been told that he's like me, that the guy needs to go. So let me ask you something. What is there with Mike McDaniel? What future is there? What hope is there that he gets it? Because that team is constantly unprepared. I don't believe it's, I was just talking about this before you came on. This guy used to be a run coordinator. Okay? Football hasn't changed, bro. Go look at Jordan Love. You know why he's having success? Because they run the hell out of the ball and they make it easy for him. That's go look when the Dolphins won championships and when they were dominant, they were running the hell out of the ball. All the championships for Dallas, they had running games. When John Elway thought he could win with Sammy Winder and the Three Amigos, he got his ass kicked over and over and over again. In comes Terrell Davis in a defense, and it all changes. It's funny that the guy that was a run coordinator should have come here right from the beginning and run the hell out of the ball to make it easy for any quarterback that he has, because that's the idea. If you go look at a lot of the young guys that are having success, go look at their running games that are complementing them. That's why they're having success. And when they don't run the ball, most of those young guys, go right into the tank because they don't have that. So to me, when I look at Mike McDaniel, es un cero a la izquierda. I don't see anything with him that says, head coach, we're 3 years in, and the guy still doesn't know how to dedicate to his craft, actually, to his strength, which was he was a running backs coach, a run coordinator. It's amazing how he didn't use his strength as a foundational tool for the Miami Dolphins to build its offense. So you tell me, what is the sell job for Stephen Ross to bring Mike McDaniel back, and how do you sell that to the fan base?
Well, I agree with you on the commitment to run or lack thereof. It's something that I thought we were going to start to see once he went to it so much without Tua, and then that first game with him, they had a stretch of 150-plus rushing yards. That last one was 149. They just missed it because of a loss of yardage late, actually. So they did hit the number before that game was over. So you saw it, and then I think people weren't complaining as much about not running the ball because then they started winning because Tua was more productive in the pass game. Tua got back into his rhythm and said, okay, well, it's just nice to know that you have that run game if you need it, but you have Tua going. So if you're winning games with Tua being prolific, then so be it. But this game was a great example of one where you needed to go to the run in those elements. And I know they fell behind by 2 touchdowns early, and then you're going to end up passing the ball more so later in the game. But that was still the first quarter when that happened. So you still had the whole game to keep the whole playbook open, not to mention coming down to the start of the fourth, you had a chance to make it a one-possession game again. So you're still very much in it, and it's not like it's a 2-minute offense the whole way, the rest of the way at that point. So that was a disappointing factor, especially in those elements, to not go to the run game, to not go. You had physical running backs active, and Jalen Wright and even Jeff Wilson you had active, and then both of them only had one snap, and neither of them carried the football. So all those things were disappointing things. But in the grand scheme of things, now Mike McDaniel, are the criticisms worthy for him? Sure, and I think he would probably be the first one to tell you. He'd stand right behind where I'm sitting right now, and he'd say he accepts all that criticism. But yeah, I mean, can he turn it around? I do believe there is some hope, because we've seen him turn Tua's career around, and he has the run game background. So if he finally finds the way to bring that all together, I could see that. And of course, making the right hires. O-line coach, I like the hire he's made there. The defensive coordinator, I like who he has right now in that spot. And then he can handle the offense with offensive coordinator Frank Smith, quarterbacks coach Darrell Bevel, handling Tua. Then I think the pieces are there to make it come together. Obviously, this season then gets derailed early with Tua being gone. You were even saying it that before Tua's return even occurred, then the season was over.
Yeah.
And they started winning some
You
games.
had to win some games while he was out, dude.
Yeah, they did.
You had to, and you did, and you failed to do that, bro. And that's where I know you're not a good coach as it is. And even with Tua, you still don't do what you're supposed to do. To me, I don't understand how you can tell your fan base you're bringing that guy back next year. I just don't know how, and I don't even know if for you as a writer, how do you write that this is the right move for the Dolphins? What kind of a case could you make that this is the right move for Miami to bring the guy back for a fourth year?
Well, you've seen back-to-back playoff appearances for the first time since early 2000s. So you did have that going for you. Now, these are the most talented rosters the Dolphins have had since those days. So it should have been the expectation the whole time. That's where I do feel there are shortcomings. Is that Brian Flores was also having winning seasons and even won 5 games with maybe the least talented roster in National Football League history, and then even has winning seasons the 2 years after that on teams that had far less talent. So sure, by that standard, Mike McDaniel should be making deep playoff runs with the talent that's on this roster. So there are shortcomings there, but you had some of the best positions the Dolphins have been in at 8-3 going into December, 9-3 last year before some late season collapses, and then this year it's kind of flipped where they've had to come from behind. But still, you had those 2 years, and then Tua early in the season, his injury, his IR stint on concussion protocol, that kind of derails you early. This season is not over yet, so I need to see the totality of this season as well. If they start falling apart down the stretch and the team is lost, which I don't think the locker room is lost yet on Mike McDaniel, then you can maybe get into those conversations. But they did just win three straight games. The game at Green Bay, I never had them winning in the colds on a short route traveling.
Bro, those games are shit, bro. They beat crap teams. That means it's who they've been for 40 years. They beat garbage and they lose against it. So, all right. So all the writers except for Kyle Krabs and myself, apparently, are the only ones that say that Mike McDaniel should be fired. Okay. So the other thing that I didn't see from, again, the group of writers, and we had this discussion, you and I blame Tua for being selfish. Remember how we were talking about the whole, I'll play to the death and all that crap. And I told you that's ignorant and that's selfish on his part, selfish to his family, selfish to ownership, selfish to the coaches, selfish to his teammates, selfish to the fans. He ruined the entire season by playing irresponsibly. And so now he finally comes out with the magic quote that, he kind of understands his screw up. So you tell me when we see this, I don't, nobody else will say it but me, which it's not true. I said it, by the way.
I think he means within the organization.
I know. His
teammates aren't going to say it. Yeah.
By the way, nobody in the media said it. Nobody called him selfish. Nobody. I was the only one. Nobody. None of you guys called him out. No columnist called him out. He should have been called out, and and people should have been very critical of him. It's, what I compare it to? I don't know if you're younger than me, so I don't know if you grew up with this kind of a parent, but you fall, you did something stupid, and they run up to, oh, okay, hey, are you all right? Yeah, no, I'm good. Okay. ¡Wow! Y ahí viene el avión. Come mierda, ¿qué te pasa a ti? ¿Qué tú estás haciendo? Right? Am I right or am I wrong? They first find out you crashed your mom's car. Está bien, okay. Imbécil. You're laughing, but it's true. You're laughing, but it's true. That's how we should treat Tua. Oh, okay. Oh, you're back from your concussion? Okay. Hey, asshole.
Oye, pero tú eres come mierda.
Exactly. What are you doing, bro? You're not Josh Allen. You don't take on tacklers. You don't go tackling people. You don't hang on to the ball for 5 seconds. Hey, asswipe, why don't you go look at Dan Marino? He never tackled anybody. He never took on tacklers. He didn't hold the ball for 5 seconds, moron. Like, nobody tells him that, but I'll tell him that because I'm the guy that roots for him more than everybody else. I'm the guy that believes in him more than everybody else, but I understand how you got to use him, bro. You got to have a mammoth line in front of him. You got to run the ball like crazy, and then he'll take care of the rest, dude. But if you don't give him the line in the running game, it's going to be impossible for him, dude, because he's not Josh Allen. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not those guys that need their legs to live. Brady can't do that. You got to give him the line in the running. He had the best offensive line coach in the history of the game, supposedly. Dante Scarnecchia, if he's not the best, he's considered like top 3 of all time. He retired. Their line went to shit. They begged him to come back because if not, the franchise was going to go to crap, even with Brady. Okay? So you have to have some elements, and they don't get it. Now, I'm glad that he went out and said it, but the question is, in the heat of the moment, will he finally learn?
Yeah. And let me adjust what you were saying there because I did fault him for not diving to the ground for that first down. There was no need, of course, for him to ram his head into a defender once he's already picked up the first down. If he dives head first, still picks up the first down with ample yardage and just doesn't go into the body, doesn't put his head in harm's way, just keeps his head low like he did the next time he played Buffalo. Similar play, scrambling for a first down. He actually did exactly that. And when the game before, he did slide against the Cardinals when he was beyond the marker. So I know you were taking it to the extreme of just slide all the way, but on a fourth down run, as a competitor who's trying to go inside the 10-yard line and put yourself in position to extend a drive to keep a game alive, I totally get him going for it. But just I would have, of course.
You slide once you see a defender, you slide, bro. That's your line. Too bad. Wherever it ends, it ends. But you can't end with an injury because now you're out for over a month and the season's
But the dive to the ground works. To the ground works. You still get the yardage, but you keep yourself out of harm's way unless a defender does certain things, which, hey, we even saw Azeez Al-Shire of the Texans. Trevor Lawrence is sliding, giving himself up, and they still come at you and headhunt you. So sometimes it could be out of your control. But and even if you dive, a defender could still say, I am going wherever that head goes, and boom.
That's why Tua can't slide late either.
Yeah.
He has to slide, period. Somebody's coming, slide, bro. That's fine. We can live for the next play. Oh, shit. The drive's over. Too bad, bro. Too bad, but you're playing next week, dude. That's the most important part. Now we have a chance next week. Well, oh shit, now you got a concussion. Now there's no chance next week. Now there's no chance the week after. And there's no chance the week after that. And there's no chance the week after that because you chose to do something stupid. And he's got to understand that. And he's got to understand that he is not Josh Allen and he's not Lamar Jackson and he's not Ben Roethlisberger. You know that Ben wasn't a runner, but Ben would hold on to the ball back there, bro, as long as he possibly could to make a play. And he took, a pounding, but he was a big dude. He has to understand he doesn't have that gift. He just doesn't have that gift.
Yeah, and further to the point is the organization's lack of preparation for the scenario in which you have to go to your backup quarterback.
Right,
is also at fault, which falls on everyone. From general manager Chris Greer to Mike McDaniel, giving him the okay of, we're going to make we're good letting Mike White and Skylar Thompson compete. And then, Skylar Thompson won that competition, or probably more so Mike White lost it because neither one of them stood out in training camp that both you and I both watched just about all those practices. And more so Mike White just lost a competition, the spot that he held last year, and Skylar Thompson sort of won it by default, but sort of just being content with Thompson there was very clear to not be the right move. And then it hit the organization very hard, then having to sign Snoop Huntley off the street. Not even 2 weeks in, he's got to start. He barely can run this complex offense, highly complex scheme, and organize the offense, make the play calls, get everyone on cadence. And then it was amazing what he did just his second start, from start one to start two, and then actually doing some things in his third start too. But that's a huge indictment on the organization to not be prepared for the backup quarterback scenario.
Yeah, no, and this year they will have no choice now. They have to get the best quarterback that's available because Tua can say whatever he wants. Still, you can't trust him anymore, unfortunately, because he hasn't proven for long stretches of time that you can trust him, that he has gotten that bug out of his system. He tried it for 1 year, and then he went back to all his bad habits again this year. And obviously it's cost them their season too, on top of all of that. Many other things, but obviously having him out, you pretty much gave yourself no chance. You know what I'm saying, overall. By the way,
I will say his admission yesterday, I think, does speak to hopefully some progress for him in that regard. So hopefully, he is really taking it seriously. Now, I'm sure that was a thought that came to his mind as he was coming back, and by the time he did, and then you still think of putting his head in harm's way when he was making the tackle in the Monday night game in LA against the Rams. So hopefully he also taking that lesson with him as well, because if he was believing what he said yesterday before then, he still acted the other way when he had an opportunity in a game. So he's got to get it fully out of his system, and hopefully that's the case down the road.
I got a question for you. He's really hard-headed, like really hard-headed. He's very determined individual, okay? He's the guy that his entire life you've told him you can't, and he goes out to prove you wrong, right? That's been that giant King Kong sized gorilla that's on his shoulder. You would agree with that, right?
Yeah, so many athletes. I mean, a lot of them defy odds to get to.
But I mean, the smaller ones, the whatever, the other ones that are when you physically don't fit the mold, you hear it even louder, right? Obviously, okay.
Sure.
So I'm wondering, this change of heart you saw yesterday, was there a come to Jesus in the background at the Miami Dolphin facility? Did the hierarchy and Tua all get together and say, hey guys, we're all on the hot seat, you're all on the hot seat. I don't know who was addressing the meeting or what or whatever, but let's talk about the real problems here. We're not getting it done in this area and that area. And Tua, by the way, you're part of the problem. We could try to protect you, but if you're not going to protect, we're all going to get fired, because Tua Tua and McDaniel are going to get a lot of people fired. A lot of people fired. You know, and I wonder if there was a come to Jesus conversation about, brother, you know, your decisions will ruin families all over this building, because there are people that took a chance on you in the front office. There are people that believed in you in the coaching staff. There are people that wrote reports about you in the scouting department. And so then if you fail, there's a trickle down effect that you're going to affect people. And then players on this team, they're going to be cut because schemes will change, and everybody and families will be uplifted, and everybody will have to be moving because you chose not to stay on the field. And I just wonder if there was any balls, something that this organization completely lacks for 40 years. No balls, no toughness, no mental toughness, no physical toughness. I wonder if somebody finally got tough and started talking tough, and maybe because they're all fiscally tied, hey guys, you're all going to come back next year, but we want you to know that pretty much you're going to come back next year, but if you don't get it done, changes are going to happen all over the place. And Tua, you need to do your part. And McDaniel, you need to do your part. And front office, you need to do your. I wonder, because watching Tua say what he said yesterday, that took a lot. And I think it takes somebody to rattle his cage in order to say that. And I don't have any proof of this, but I wonder if there was some kind of come to Jesus conversation in the background with the Miami Dolphin organization. Just saying.
You're saying, yeah, in order leading him into what he said yesterday?
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
Somebody, look, what I just talked about, the domino effects of his decisions on the field, the effects are enormous. Dude, it's a tsunami.
Right.
Okay. It's an explosion in the ocean. And then you've moved the tectonic plates, and here it goes, and boom. And the ripple effects of it, it's going to affect so many people in that building, so many families. And I wonder if somebody has the balls to tell him that. And I wonder if somebody did tell him that. And then he kind of like realizes, like, yo, bro, I'm not playing, you know, I'm not in high school anymore making crazy ass decisions on the field. My decisions professionally are not just affecting me, but they're affecting all kinds of people in this building. I just, for him to get to that point, that takes a lot to get a dude that strong-willed to admit that publicly like that.
Yeah. And I don't think if it did, I don't think it was something that necessarily happened between the Packers game and now. I mean, it might have been something maybe long before that. Because if you look at the question and answer, it wasn't like he was asked directly about his feelings over his actions. It was more a general, broad question about being 5-7. So he offered it on his own accord.
Guilt.
It was on his mind. Yeah, right. Like admission of guilt sort of thing. So I'm with you. Yeah. So he offered it on his own. It was on his mind. So yeah, I am thinking that might have been something instilled from before. And that was just sort of an opportunity once he started thinking about the season as a whole, thought about why is the team 5-7? And he said, you know what? A lot of it does fall on me.
Yeah. And look, I don't think he's the problem, but his bad habits are a problem. That's for sure, you know, but he can fix those. But you still have to fix the team around him. You're still not playing the right style of football, you know, overall. Philosophically, there is no real dedication to the running game. And until you get back to dominating on the line and on the D line, you know, you'll continue to be finesse. And if you're going to continue to be finesse, well, then you will end up just like all the other Dolphin teams. And before you were on, I was talking about Eric Coryell with the San Diego Chargers back in the day, or Mouse Davis and the Lions, and what's it called? Jerry Glanville. You know, he had a spread type offense, all those kind of things. I've seen this before, dude, and different ways of doing it. But if there is no real toughness to your game, that you're going to dominate on the lines, it's going to be hard for you to win. And That's what they've got to get. When he went to Alabama, he had that on the lines. And so he doesn't have to worry about it. He could go and do his job and look for it because the people on the line were mauling and doing their jobs. And that's what Greasy. You think Greasy was going to carry you? No, dude. They blocked the shit for Greasy and they ran the hell out of the ball, and he had tight ends. And then he took care of the rest. That's all. It wasn't that Greasy was this incredible quarterback or anything. He was super smart, super accurate. Sounds familiar? You know what I'm saying? It's all the same, but Shula had the right formula in those days. And then once he got away from that formula and became a finesse team after Woodstock, they never had success again. So it's really about changing the philosophy around Tua. It's not that Tua's the problem. It's that you haven't built the right philosophy around the quarterback.
Yeah, sure. And I feel like we saw a semblance of it in that 4-game stretch. The run game getting going, and then just sort of getting away from it. So I would really love to see a balance found. And I don't think it might not be necessary this week against the Jets at home, especially if Sauce Gardner doesn't play for the Jets. Then, yeah, Tua will be able to light them up. And, he'll throw plenty to either Tyreek or Jalen Waddle. One of them will get going. Jonnu Smith will get going. Devon Achane catching passes out of the backfield. And then, maybe not against Houston or a depleted San Francisco team. But if you go back into the cold and at Cleveland still means something down the road, then I want to see them go back to the run game and show that they can do that.
By the way, if you need lawyers, you can count on Welt Rheaume, 954-966-4646. Bankruptcy, homeowner property damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury. Call Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume. The consultation's free, 954-966-4646. By the way, I fear these two Jet games being so close to each other. I'm almost expecting them to split these games. I know the Jets are bad, but they have a physical nature to them, and that will give them a chance, I think, against the Dolphins. Notice how the line is going down. It started at 6.5, and now it's down to 5.5. So the money is coming in on the Jets. I don't want to see it, but I think it would be so Dolphins to split these games.
Yeah, but you know what? When I analyze lines, I feel like it's always like New York teams always end up where money comes in on them. Like you're not going to get like good odds on Yankees to win the World Series because so many people push money into that market on them. Same with like Giants and Jets, and that's why I feel like historically, like these are some of the teams that are worse against the spread. I mean, I'll have to look up the numbers to make sure, but I think sometimes the spread goes a little bit in their favor because money comes in on those bigger market teams more so, maybe just because the larger fan bases in those huge markets, but maybe that's part of it. But yeah, I mean, I always looked at it as a split the whole way, and now the Dolphins are at a point where they need to sweep. And yes, Tua is 4-0 in his career against the Jets going into this one. All 4 starts he's won. He hasn't been available for quite a few of those of the games that the Dolphins and Jets have played. But if you take it one game at a time, I feel like the Dolphins should win this home game. That road game, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's probably going to be cold over there. We'll see if the Dolphins have gained something in terms of the game in Cleveland the week that would be prior to that. And what the hopes are still for the season, if they're still alive going into that week. But I feel like if you take it one game at a time, the home game against the Jets, I feel like the Dolphins should take care of this one.
Comedy Club is you going to the Comedy Club now? The hopes and all that for the season. All right, what comedy script you got going on in this Sentinel there, selling Hope you?
Actually, today I'm writing Calais Campbell's case that UM should have gotten into the college football playoff.
Oh.
You don't like that one either.
No, I don't, because Alabama beat they played 4 ranked teams. They beat 3 of them. I think they lost to Tennessee was the one that they lost to. They beat South Carolina, who was unranked but ended up ranked. Miami doesn't have one win against any ranked teams. For them to just beat Georgia, Alabama, That's more than any accomplishment than anything UM had. I know that whole one loss against Oklahoma State was ugly, but
Oklahoma, yeah.
Oklahoma, a one bad day. I'm not holding that against Alabama when they have four wins against ranked teams in an entire season, and Miami doesn't have one win against a ranked team. I think that the Canes are frauds, bro. I think the Canes are frauds, just like the Dolphins are frauds. By the way, the Heat are frauds too. They can beat scrubs, but they can't beat good teams either. They're kind of the same thing.
Yeah, but I mean that top 25 mark is so subjective because when you rank all these SEC teams to begin with, then they play each other and then they just stay ranked, and then it's so hard for them even to fall out. And plus,
wait a minute. Georgia was number 2 when Alabama played them. You don't think they're the number 5 team in the country right now?
Boy, Georgia could have just as easily lost at home to the Georgia Tech team that UM lost by one possession.
But they won. But the question is,
and they had a pass interference in the end zone that extended them, and the targeting that wasn't called, and there were a lot of things that kept them alive in that game to then get to those 8 overtimes. But
the Tennessee game, they lost. I believe that's the one they lost at Tennessee. They were 11 when they played them. They're now 7. So Tennessee's not a top 10 team. Missouri was 21 when they played them. They're now 19. You don't think Missouri's top 20? And South Carolina was unranked when they played them, and now they're 14th.
And South Carolina did beat Clemson, so ACC SEC crossover. But then the Miami's won ACC SEC crossover example against Florida. Now, granted, they were a lot worse at the start of the season than they are now,
and they're unranked, and they're still unranked.
But went into the swamp, beat them handily, 41-17. Yeah. And then that same Florida team has gone on and has
no. That's not the same Florida team. It's not Lagway. No.
I understand that part. But that result still happened.
Okay, but it's not Lagway. The reason Florida's running now is because that kid can play. Kid's special, dude. Okay, sure. I was hoping UM could steal him, but of course, Mario screwed that shit up now. I know. Damn it. Yeah. I don't give UM any breaks whatsoever. They're frauds.
And I didn't think once they lost that game to Syracuse, I didn't think they were deserving of a spot. But I just felt with how many other teams have also blown their opportunities, I thought Alabama was less deserving.
Oh no, because
I felt Alabama was
their resume
not in this year's SEC.
Way better.
Not way better. Bro, I know there's other years where the SEC is
4 wins,
but not this year.
Dude, they have 4 wins against ranked teams. Miami,
right, but then if you go, but then between 25 and 30, then you also could include like the Louisville and Duke and just because they end up just barely out of the rankings, but they never have that much of a chance to get in.
Beating Louisville and Duke is more impressive than Georgia, LSU, South Carolina, and Missouri. Come on.
No, impressive wins, but there was still an extra loss. Still an extra loss that was very embarrassing for Alabama.
Blind ass fan alert! Look out, everyone! We've got a blind ass fan coming through.
Oh shit! Sean dropped a blind ass fan alert on you. Oh man.
This isn't even a Nick Saban-led Alabama. If Nick Saban was their coach and it was the same scenario, I could understand it because he's going to end up coaching them up with that extra time to prepare for opponents and make them a viable threat to any opponent. But
all right,
this ain't the same Alabama.
I got a question for you. Next week, Alabama plays Miami. Who you betting on? Straight up. Who you betting on?
Neutral site.
Who you betting on? Neutral site. Who you betting on?
I'd bet on Alabama.
So, he had the blind ass fan alert ready for you one more time.
Yeah.
I had the bullshit comment ready.
But the point is, it's based on what you did this season. So, and UM still has one of the most electric players in college football and Cam Ward and the number 1 offense, which would have benefited the committee to have that in the playoff as well.
By the way, Mario Cristobal should hand over half his salary to Cam Ward because You know, Cam Ward. I don't know if Cam Ward will be able to make it to the NFL at all because his shoulders might be shot to shit by carrying Mario Cristobal around all season long. So I don't know if he has any shoulders left after carrying Mario around. Jesus. Woo, doggy. I like Mario, but man, that's a problem, bro. Just like Mike McDaniel. Both of them on game days. Sorry, they don't get it done.
Yeah, I'm with you. And has to change its defensive coordinator and shape up that side of the ball for sure. But yeah, and then even Cam Ward, some situational things late in the year. Didn't love it. Xavier Restrepo fumbles in the last 2 games that were costly. The last one very costly. So no, and I mean, I felt should have needed to win that game to get in. But then when you really looked at just the rankings, I felt like, man, if Alabama with 3 losses were to be ahead of them for that last spot, I'm just not buying it. But no, I mean, as soon as lost to Syracuse, my feeling was they don't deserve it. But then I just kind of like analyzing the whole thing, felt really Alabama was less deserving for what they did. I think they got in more on brand than and what they've done in a lot of recent years than truly the resume for the season.
And the reverse is also true. Didn't get in on brand. Their brand is down. Their brand is
that's what I'm saying.
Fraudulent. Their brand, they haven't done anything. So you know, one's done everything. They've earned it all, and the other one hasn't earned any benefit of the doubt. They prove that they're frauds every big moment that they're in. Sad.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, and I also feel like there is a little bit more of a bias of dropping them, being more relentless whenever they lose than with other teams. Like wherever it should
they love
probably
to hate them. They love to hate.
They love to just drop them as much as possible. Like you see it because even more so in the coaches poll and the AP poll, they dropped them down further. So I feel like you do see the anti-UM bias of the rest of the nation. In those cases, the College Football Playoff Committee was at least a little more reasonable where it was between them and Bama, whereas the other 2 polls would have had them down further.
Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _ and catch his excellent work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. David, as always, thank you, my brother. Enjoy the football this weekend, sir.
Yes,
and
sir.
We will talk on Sunday.
Thank you.
You got it. There he is, David Furones, and our Welt Rheaume P.A Dolphins report.